Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward. What's up guys, ApeCoin here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I'm not an expert, to your own research. Okay, so today let's just review Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe ApeCoin. Not much has really changed on a high time frame basis for me. I still am waiting for a break of 46K or a break of 34K, and that's just those are the two levels that I'm waiting for. If you've seen my last few videos, you've known that I'm really just waiting for a break of one of those two levels because it will confirm the market structure for me on the 1 day. What we're seeing right now is we're seeing higher highs and higher lows, or lower highs and higher lows. So I'll just make a few notes here where this we printed a low in January around this 33K level. We hit a high around 46K, followed by a higher low at 34K, and then we hit a lower high. So this is just a very this is a ranging price action structure where the trend isn't super clear to me. So, you know, if you've seen my market structure video, you'll know that a bearish market structure has lower lows and lower highs, just like that, right? It's just a downtrend. And a bullish market structure has higher highs and higher lows. This is a market structure where we're seeing higher lows and lower highs. So usually this type of price action will look something like this. And price just chops around and consolidates for a long time before deciding where the next move is going to go. Now, it's important to take in context the overall high time frame market structure, which is bearish overall, where you saw lower highs and lower lows. But to me, this looks like there could be a potential trend change coming. And the reason why I say that is because we're seeing some higher lows, something we haven't seen back in the last few months. We are seeing a little more volatility. We're seeing bulls defend some of the important levels in the 30Ks. And, you know, increased volatility is something that we saw too at the beginning and middle part of the last consolidation in June and July. And what I'm wanting to see right now is just a calming period where we're just seeing price chop around. Maybe we see like a slow grind down to like 38K, followed by another move up. That's certainly possible. But yeah, for me, I'm really just waiting for a break of one of these two levels. Because if 34K gets broken, then I think that we have a clear lower low. So, you know, say we come here, small shitty bounce, and then we break below that level. I think at that point you have a bearish market structure continuing because you have a lower high and that at that point a lower low. Alternately, if you break above 46K, say like does something like this, at that point I think you have a good case for a bullish market structure because at that point you have higher lows followed by a higher high. So those are really the only two levels that I'm really watching for, and those are the only two levels that I think really matter to me. There are some levels in between, like 44K, 44.6K. This is an important level because we haven't seen price hold above that level on the daily for quite some time, since early January. And it's been a few months since price has held above that level on the daily. If price holds above that level, I think that 46K should come fairly swiftly after. And at that point, if 46K gets broken, I think you have to look for the mid-50s, I think, because it makes logical sense, I think, at that point. Now, am I saying that price is going to go to all-time high levels? I think that's quite unlikely. But my plan for what happens after this, if 46K gets broken, is that I will look to see where the next low is printed. So if we see like a break, and then we go up to like 55K, and then we chop around and form some higher low over the course of a few weeks. At that point, I think, again, you have to start calling this a bullish market structure, because it would be very similar to this consolidation back in August and September, where price moved out of the long consolidation range that it had in June and July and August. And then it chopped around and consolidated for quite some time. And, this was a healthy consolidation here and a higher low, which was the most important thing. Whereas you see this last area was the low in July, followed by a very short low in August, and then a higher low in September. So this still maintained its bullish market structure. So alternatively, if you see price go up to like 50 to 55K and then it establishes a higher low, then I think you have to consider it still being a bullish market structure. Alternatively, if price goes up to like 50K or 55K and then it starts to nuke lower again, then I think that you just have some sort of deviation or price is just going back within this consolidation range. This would be quite painful for a lot of people because there's going to be a lot of late shorters that will get washed out. But certainly a scenario that I'm watching. And my plan for if this 34K level gets broken, I'm just going to dump all my shit, all my coins, and just as soon take the loss on some of my higher entries, because all coins will really suffer if the 34K level gets broken. And I'm expecting some sort of shitty bounce, and then price would head lower. I think to like this kind of 28K area, 30K area would make a lot of sense. And I actually don't even know if this would bounce, to be frank and honest with you. Usually these liquidation runs are so violent that it might just straight, hit something like this, and then we'll just like go straight to like 28K or something from there. Don't know how it would happen or when it would happen, but this is another possibility that I'm viewing too. But, as I said, a break of this 34K area would be very, very bad for many altcoins if this happens. As of right now, I'm currently leaning towards up in the short term. And the reason is that I think that there's been a lot of opportunities for Bitcoin to head lower given all the macro news on war and the Fed stuff and overall macro. But, price is still held up overall, and the fundamentals have also never been stronger. Like, we've definitely need a independent sovereign money for the entire world. So, yeah, anyways, don't get me started on that, but I still am cautiously bullish right now. But I will wait for confirmation before we start to really buy, before we really start to see this, before I start to buy in more. Okay, so let's look at Ethereum here. ETHUSD actually looks pretty decent. Similar to Bitcoin, we see a higher low and lower highs. So we see a low, and then we see a higher low, and we see a high, but then we're seeing all these lower highs here. So we're just seeing like lower high after lower high. One thing that would allow me to change my mind for Ethereum is if this kind of 30 or this 3050 level gets broken, because at that point I think that you have a higher high argument followed by higher lows. So maybe you see this area get broken, and ultimately if like this 3300 area really gets broken, I think that's really, really strong, because at that point you have clear higher lows and you have higher highs. So that would be very interesting to me, and I think that Ethereum has a lot of strong fundamentals coming up with regards to ETH 2.0. And but these are really the key levels that I'm watching. If this 2300 level gets broken, then obviously lower low. And if 3300 gets broken, then obviously a higher high. So those are really the two kind of key levels that I'm looking at. To me, it does. If you just take away everything else, I mean, this doesn't look bad. This entire kind of market structure on lower time frames, and especially if you start to look at some of the EMAs and other indicators, like everything is like tightening up pretty strongly. And the 200 EMA got flipped for the first time in quite some time. So this red line is the lagging indicator. Of course, it got flipped before, but that wasn't really a sustainable flip because of how big of a distance there was between price and the EMA. Normally, when there's large distances between the price and EMA, it's an unsustainable move, is what we saw back in early February, and then price obviously nuked below it. But this is a much more healthy consolidation where we're seeing lots of EMAs kind of line up bullishly, and it still looks decent to me in my opinion. So yeah, looks pretty healthy on lower time frames if you look like EMAs and also even just some SR levels as well. I think that it looks like a bottoming structure forming, in my opinion. So as I said, these kind of low 3,000 areas are the areas that I'm viewing next. And if we break above that, then I think you have a bullish market structure. Let's look briefly at ApeCoin. This is a coin I took a loss on earlier. Kind of sucks, but is what it is. I kind of entered around like $12, like a little way too high for what it was, but a little bit lower actually, like 1170, I think, something 1150. It was like my average. Like I was expecting this 0.5 area to hold, but it just went lower. To me, I'm waiting basically for it's like 750 area is kind of where I'm starting to consider averaging in at, and then I would just average in all the way to 5. So I view kind of the $7.50 to $5 area as like an area of interest. I think that the fully diluted value of this coin is still quite high. I wouldn't be surprised if this does pretty well though, because of we haven't really seen a NFT community as popular as Bored Apes that has an active token. And I think that this could be a good way for retail people to get some exposure to Bored Ape Yacht Club without having the resources to buy an NFT themselves. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this kind of eventually moon, but I am looking for lower levels to buy. If you want to do an aggressive entry, like $8 or $9 would be like pretty aggressive. Maybe not 8, but like something like $9 would be aggressive. But it is an area of interest because it's former swing high level, and it would be a pretty good scalp in my opinion. So you could like scalp like this $9 area up to like the low 10s and then expect it to go lower. That's certainly a good possibility. And with the overall trading volatility and the overall liquidity on this coin, it's quite good in my opinion. So pretty good scalp opportunity if that's what you want to take. But my plan personally is just to wait till like the low 7 or mid low 7s and then kind of dollar cost average in from there to 5. But I do think that this will go higher eventually. I just don't know when or how it will go. But anyways, thanks guys for watching this video. I will do some more videos, but I'll be taking a break coming up soon in April. So thanks for the support.